What is good, Raider Nation? It's your boy Raider Alex back with yet another video for you guys. Anybody that's new to the channel, you guys love Raider related content just like this, make sure to like, comment, subscribe to the channel. With that being said, let's jump right into the topic of this video. The Las Vegas Raiders got a huge win. The Raiders came into this game without their two best players, without Maxx Crosby and without Davante Adams, and somehow, some way they found a way to get a victory, and that's a huge thing moving forward for the Raiders if they want any possibility to stay in playoff contention, because teams that go 1-3, statistically they have less than a 10% chance of ultimately making the postseason. But the Raiders avoided that. This was a game that I was not super confident about going into it, just because we've never seen the Raiders defense without Maxx Crosby. The only time we really saw something similar to that was last week, when you could see he was visibly not himself. He wasn't able to make a true impact, and we saw how badly the Raiders defense struggled last week. But this week they did a lot better, and I think the main takeaway I took from this game is the Raiders found a way to fix their biggest issues on both sides of the ball, and that is on the offense. We were finally able to get a running game going. The Raiders ran the ball 29 times and they rushed for 152 yards and 2 touchdowns. We saw offensive coordinator Luke Getsy got creative with the play calls. We gave a jet sweep to Brock Bowers. Trey Tucker and DJ Turner were both able to run it in as well for touchdowns. And running back Alexander Mattison in limited carries had 60 yards, 5 carries for 60 yards, 1 run went 24 yards, and he looked good out there. Now with Zamir White though, he had 17 carries for 50 yards. He was okay, but he had a huge fumble, and that's not the first time he has fumbled this season. And that fumble really got the Cleveland Browns back into the football game. The Raiders seem to have been controlling the game. If they could have got a nice little drive, we could have put the game away. And Zamir White coughs up the football. The Cleveland Browns defense was able to scoop and score that. And jump into the defensive side of the football, a big thing I noticed was we were a lot better against the run. We only gave up 92 yards. That is so much better than what we've been doing thus far. So the two things that I thought were fundamentally wrong with this team, we were able to fix it in this week. On the offense, we had players step up. Trey Tucker had himself a fantastic game. Everybody contributed. They all did their parts. Jakobi Meyers was able to move the sticks on a handful of different occasions. You even got Harrison Bryant getting involved a little bit. DJ Turner got a touchdown. And the Raiders did a good job substituting the production we were getting from Davante Adams. And like I said, the biggest thing is we were finally able to run the football. And a huge part of that, I think, was the addition of Jackson Powers-Johnson on this offensive line. Finally, we got a true left guard. He looked good out there. He was able to open up some holes. And I think this is going to be a huge thing moving forward for this offensive line. We need Jackson Powers-Johnson out there. Hopefully he can stay healthy. Hopefully he can continue to build off of this. So overall, this is a huge victory for the Raiders. Now, when it comes to this victory, I have to look at both sides of the coin. At the end of the day, the Raiders found a way to get a victory, and that's huge, especially since they didn't have Maxx Crosby and Davante Adams. Now, was this a pretty win? Nope, it most definitely wasn't. But at the end of the day, in the NFL, it's all about wins and losses. 10 times out of 10, I would rather have an ugly win than a pretty loss. So they found a way to get the job done. The Raiders showed they had some decent depth out there. And, shout out to Charles Snowden for getting the huge sack on Deshaun Watson to seal the victory for the Raiders. So yeah, on one side, the Raiders found a way to get a victory, and I'm super ecstatic about that. But the other side is, like I said, it was an ugly victory. We had a chance to potentially put the game away. Zamir White fumbles. And honestly, with Zamir White, I would bench him. I would put him as RB2 moving forward. I have liked what I've seen from Alexander Mattison a lot more. He seems a lot more reliable, more consistent. And I don't know, I'm just not super confident in Zamir White. Throughout 4 games, he already has 2 fumbles, and his vision is very questionable, especially on those outside zone runs. I saw we ran a lot more halfback tosses and things of that nature, and Zamir White seemed to struggle with that as well. So he's struggling on the toss plays. He's struggling when it comes to running it up the gut. So moving forward, I want us to make that move, switch to Alexander Mattison as the primary back. But I guess the thing I really have to mention here is the Raiders got lucky in this one. I think a part of that was that the Cleveland Browns were a very undisciplined football team. They had a lot of flags, they had a lot of mental errors. And shoot, the Raiders even gave up a 82-yard touchdown to Amari Cooper, who was wide open. And if that play would have stood, I think we would have not won this game. But luckily, there was a flag on that play, and to be quite honest with you, that looked a little bit questionable. I didn't think that was a hold. So like I said, we definitely caught a break right there. So that's one thing to keep into consideration. A win is a win. It was ugly. The Cleveland Browns definitely helped us in this one. But at the end of the day, you got to find a way to get a victory, and most importantly, when your best players aren't on the football field. So a good job by the Raiders in that stance. I think most of us, before the season started, if you would have told me that we would have been 2-2 after the first month of football, I would have been okay with it, and that's what the Raiders are at. This keeps us afloat, but you know, we definitely have to continue to improve. We have to get healthy. Hopefully Max Crosby can be out there next week. And most importantly, the Raiders got it done this week, but where I need to see is, can we get back-to-back victories? Can we be consistent week in and week out? Can we kind of start to truly build some momentum? We were finally able to run the football. Can we do that in back-to-back weeks? And most importantly, the Raiders are going to have a super important test next week, as we're going to play a divisional rival, the Denver Broncos. Now, historically, we've done very well against the Broncos. We have swept them in the last 4 seasons, but that doesn't matter. It's all going to matter what we do this season. The Raiders are going to be on the road, and they're going to be going against a very stout Denver Broncos defense who beat the New York Jets and who were able to win a game with only putting 10 points on the board on the road. So you definitely got to give them that respect. And it's going to be a huge test for this offense. Can we run the ball effectively on them? And most importantly, we got to find a way to beat the Broncos. The Raiders are already 0-1 in the division. You cannot afford to go 0-2. We need to get some wins on the board within the division. But overall, like I said, Raider Nation, the Raiders found a way. I'm happy about that. Huge shout out to the players that contributed to this victory. Let's see what the Raiders do with this and how they can build off of this momentum. But Raider Nation, I definitely want to get your guys' feedback in the comment section down below. What did you think about the victory? Are there some things that still concern you moving forward? Let me know in that comment section down below. But with that being said, Raider Nation, that's all for you guys in today's video. Anybody that's new to the channel, you guys love Raider related content just like this, make sure to like, comment, subscribe to the channel. That being said, I will see you guys in the next one.